Hello everyone, welcome to GS Core. So in our series of daily current affairs through MCQs, where through the medium of MCQs we try and reflect on today's current affairs, right? We not only look at the current affairs through MCQs, but we also reflect on the concepts, skills and approach to look at these questions. So let us quickly get on to the very first question. But before that, we have the list of topics on which the questions are there today. If you look at Bitcoin as the part of the crypto world and as the focus on the technology, whether that is AI, crypto, blockchain, etc., is unraveling, a significant event called halving, or it emanates from half, is going to happen in April, regarding which there was some news chatter. Therefore, this is important. The next, regarding the household consumption expenditure survey, something we looked at yesterday as well, but we'll try and look at certain conceptual angles. Next, NATO. We know that Russia-Ukraine conflict is underway, right? It hasn't ceased, and there have been some developments vis-a-vis the NATO, the Western-led, military bloc. Okay, so some developments have been there, as in Sweden is set to get admitted. Next, about women in defense services. So there was a case in which the Coast Guard was the party, and regarding this the Supreme Court has issued certain order. And next is about the carbon dioxide storage at underground locations. So let us quickly move on to the very first question, that is on the Bitcoin. So like I was reflecting that the Bitcoin is in news because the halving is going to happen. Halving basically refers to 50% reduction in the reward paid to Bitcoin miners, right, who successfully process other people's cryptocurrency transactions so that they can be added to the digital public ledger. Okay, this intense activity is the reason why the Bitcoin transaction result in huge carbon footprints and require vast amount of electricity. Okay, so this is something which made the news, and the next halving is scheduled to happen in April 2024. Now, when you look at the concept underlying it is the technology, right? Bitcoin, how it works, key terms related to it, right? And if you look at the approach and skills which are needed for such questions, strong retention and recall is needed, because these things you might not get into how very scientifically it works, how the data sets are stored, whether it is 0 1 0 1 0 1 the data set. No, that is not what is needed. The level of technological sophistication as far as knowledge is concerned is not required to be so deep, but the retention and recall regarding the mechanism, and then the impact or consequences or causes, those are important. So we need not only retention and recall but also application and correlation, right? So while approaching these questions statement by statement, we should reflect these things in context to the issue at hand. Okay, so let us look at the statements. Which of the following is or are correct? So if you look at the format, it's the traditional format, right? So we can use elimination to certain extent. Just like the question is on Bitcoin, there can be questions in terminologies regarding, let us say, AI or blockchain. For example, AI engine, GPT, right? Things like that. Using Bitcoin transaction can emit more carbon footprint and increase electricity use. That is correct. And we explained how to grow the Bitcoin ecosystem, you need to keep the ecosystem running, right? And advanced computer equipment is needed. Therefore, constant electricity supply is needed. Okay. So the mining which is happening is virtual. It's not physical that you are going to a mine, but it consumes so much electricity that it has more carbon footprint. Next, Bitcoin halving is the process used to increase the flow rate of coins in the market. No, as I explained you that it is about reduction in the reward being paid. So this statement is incorrect. Now, even if you are in doubt about the second statement, but you are sure of the first statement, then you can easily rule out two options or vice versa, right? In that case, it would be this. So your rate of success becomes 50%. Second, the knowledge of the terminology, the concept is vital. So in this case, the first statement is correct, the second is incorrect. Hence, the option to mark would be option A. Option A. Moving further to the next question. And the household consumption expenditure survey, something that we reflected upon in the previous session as well, that this survey is coming up and it is very important, right? So in a written reply to the question in Rajya Sabha, the concerned minister said that the field work for the household consumption expenditure survey 2023-2024 has started in August 2023. But if you look at, it is looking at the moorings of the conceptual argument. Now, whenever it comes to concepts of such surveys, the mapping is critical. So, with regards to skills and approach, this mapping demands linking, or we can say interlinking, and the approach is that we should know what it is, the stakeholders, purpose, etc. In a way, the salient features. And the approach is to have a look at these salient features, interlink and deduce whether the question is correct or whether the statement given to us is correct or not. This is the idea, right? So with regards to skills, linking and interlinking and deduction is something which is important, that if A plus B is equals to C, then A minus C is equals to minus B. So you deduce, you correlate, right? So let us look at the set of statements that we have. The survey aims to generate estimates of households' yearly per capita consumption expenditure separately for rural and urban sectors of the economy. If you look at this statement, that the survey aims to generate estimates of household yearly per capita consumption expenditure separately for rural and urban sectors of the country, it is correct. It is correct. The next statement, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has conducted this survey. This is also correct, and that comes from the stakeholders. The third, the data estimates include consumption of home produce, free collection, gifts and loans, etc. This statement is also correct. This statement is also correct. So, the correct option to mark here would be option C. Remember the formatting here. It is how many. So, like I call it vague, it can get confusing. So, you need to be absolutely sure. Elimination does not work, right? Just like you have household consumption expenditure survey, you have other surveys which are important and they can be asked in the similar manner. Moving on to the next question, and this is about NATO. This is about NATO. So, if you look at the news, like I was referring to in the introduction of this particular session, Hungary's parliament has ratified Sweden's bid to join NATO. Remember, Finland and Hungary and Finland and Sweden in the recent past had expressed the wish to join the NATO, right, which is a Western-led security bloc. So, the concept with regards to international relations is the groupings that we have. So, obviously, NATO is a security related or military alliance kind of a grouping. Okay. So, when we have questions like these, which is purely current, right, and we can merely look at the grouping as the idea. So, with regards to groups, certain elements need to be known as part of the conceptual understanding. The purpose, okay, mechanical details, when it was formed, okay, what is the purpose, membership, and the India Connect. What is it that India has to do with it? Okay, the mechanical details would involve mechanisms, approaches, events which might happen under the aegis of a particular group. With regards to skills and approach, simple, retention, again because you need to know which are the members, what can happen, correlation is important, right. So, if you look at the format of this question, this is in the statement 1 explain, statement 2 kind of a format. So, correlation becomes very important, otherwise you will never be able to join the dots. Also, retention is important because these are largely factual in nature. In prelims, analytical questions are not asked so frequently in this space. Okay. So, let us look at the statements. Support among all NATO members is required to admit new countries into the grouping. That statement is correct. It works by the consensus. So, membership, the mechanical details, all those things are important, the mechanisms. Hungary is the latest country to join the NATO alliance. No, it is the Sweden which practically made the news and made this question possible. So, clearly the second statement is incorrect, right. So, The first statement is correct, second statement is incorrect. That means the option to mark for us would be option C. Option C. Moving further. Regarding the allocation of permanent commission for women in defense services, which of the following statements is correct? So it is about the permanent commissioning, that means in the armed forces, right? So if you look at the news which made this possible, or this question, is the fact that the Supreme Court has directed to the central government, right, to ensure that women are granted permanent commission in Indian Coast Guard in a recent order. Okay. So that is there. If you look at permanent commission, it includes both the short service commission as well. Okay. So with regards to these things, especially where the Supreme Court is involved, certain things are to be remembered. What was the matter? The pre-order state, the post-order state. What is the state of affairs? Pre-order, and what is the post-order? That helps you approach the question in the correct manner, because that is the summation of information that we needed. The skills which are required and which are tested as part of such questions is your awareness, clarity and correlation. Simple, very basic. Okay. So if you look at the format of the question, the format is in multiple option kind of a question wherein either of them are correct. Okay. And we need to find the correct. It is no more that a set of statements and their numbers are juxtaposed. So let us look at the statements. Presently, short service commission women officers are eligible for permanent commission and command post in the army irrespective of their years of service. If you look at this statement is incorrect. Under the short service commission, women are commissioned into the army for a period of 10 years, which is extendable up to 14 years. So it is not irrespective of their years of service. SSC short service commission has certain rules. The female SSC officers could opt for a permanent commission at the end of 10 years of their service. No. While the male officers could opt for a permanent commission at the end of 10 years. So you join SSC 10 years and then you can apply for a permanent commission. That's for male. But for women, join SSC 10 year can extend up to 14 years and not permanent commission. Okay. So that's the technicality which is there. So what is pre-order, post-order, those things are important. So this statement is also incorrect. Third statement. The women officers will now be eligible for command post in non-combat areas. Yes, because only the commissioned officers can handle the command posts, and once this permanent commissioning happens, the women will now be eligible for command. This decision, however, was taken in 2019 that SSC women officers in 10 streams of the combat support arms and services section, but it was said that they could not be offered any command appointment and would only serve in staff posts. However, the recent order by the Supreme Court is slated to change that. Therefore, this statement seems correct. The option D is none of the above. So clearly this is not the case. Hence, the option to mark would be option C. Option C. So for every question regarding these rules and regulations, and especially which are contested, please remember the pre-state, post-state and the order, the matter at hand, right? Moving on to the next, and this is the last question. It is about underground carbon dioxide storage. Underground carbon dioxide storage. So recently it was in news that Germany plans to enable underground carbon storage at offshore sites. However, scientists and academicians have raised doubts over the impact, and they say that there can be certain negative consequences. So this is the news item. So if we look at the concept at hand, in this particular question, the carbon dioxide, climate change, the storage, okay, measures, impact and mechanisms. Those are important. So you will have certain measures, each measure will have an impact and the mechanisms that are employed as part of the various measures. With regards to the approach and skills, since it is science, so mostly science is application oriented, right? And to approach such questions, you should always keep that application orientation in light of the concepts in mind. So let us read the statement. Consider the following statements. Underground storage of carbon can lead to induced seismicity. This statement is correct. The impact, the concern with regards to this is that the underground carbon storage is that this CO2, the carbon dioxide that will be stored, can actually seep in to the surrounding air and contribute to climate change. Okay, and the huge pressure that gets built up can have induced seismic activity. So this statement is correct. Second, carbon dioxide stored deep in earth enters tiny holes in the solid rock, like the way water is captured in a sponge, right? So you see, rocks actually hold oil and gas, the natural gas, which we pump out. So in a similar manner, the carbon dioxide getting stored, see, I am using the application here because it's again a gas, can be stored and captured by these very rocks like a tiny sponge does to a water. So this statement is also correct. Now you will be able to jump the gun and say, okay, option C, but hold, focus. The question says which of the given statements are incorrect. So there is the twist. The formatting seems simple, but this word incorrect complexes the situation. In the hurry of the examination, you can end up marking this question wrong. So which of the following are incorrect? None of them. So the correct option should be D in this case. The correct option should be D in this case. Alright. So with this, we have come to the end of today's coverage of current affairs through MCQs. I hope that this is actually helping you understand how current affairs gets transformed into the questions in the examination. For the coverage of these current affairs and more, for today, you can download our Think You Daily Current Affairs magazine. The link is in the description. That's all. Thank you.